Thank you so much for having me, and thank you, Dimitar. How do you spell it?
Dimitar, yeah.
Dimitar. It was wonderful, even though I only get in halfway through, but at least the second half was amazing. I couldn't agree more with you with many of your key points. So I think it's a kind of good continuation from that. I'm going to talk a little about the technological potentials and innovations with the energy policy as kind of like the background for all of this. Yeah, I actually have one slide about myself and my organization. So, what ecomodernism? Ecomodernism is the Eco-Modernist Society of Finland. It was founded in 2015, so 4.5 years ago. It's a politically and economically independent, science and evidence-based environmental organization. So we look at the best mainstream science and we base our policy recommendations and lobbying and whatever we are doing on those. And if we realize that we've been wrong and we need to change our minds, we are very happy to do that because then we are learning new stuff. So it's a fresh perspective on environmental activism, I would say. Like mentioned, I'm also a writer and one of the co-founders of the Eco-Modernist Society of Finland. I'm currently acting as their energy analyst it's not a paid job, but I like to do it anyway. It gives me good opportunities like this to come talk to people. And as my day job, I lead this fresh independent non-profit think tank called thinktank. And we focus on deep decarbonization of our societies. So, and from the thinktank, you may be able to draw the conclusion that we focus a bit on the nuclear energy, of which I will also talk a little bit today. So, while I think that it's very important to talk electricity, and when talking about climate change, people often talk about the decarbonization of electricity production, this needs to be kept in mind. It's only about a fifth, it's actually a little bit less of our end energy use. So there's 1/4 about for transportation, liquid fuels, and then about half is heat. Space heating, industrial process heating, and stuff like that. So those need to be talked a little bit more, while I also focus a little bit on electricity. I also bring some of the other sectors in. And everybody's also talking about electrification, so let's electrify everything and then make it clean. And I fully support that goal. But the thing is that electrification historically has progressed at about 2 percentage points per decade. And this is from IEA, this picture. They're not seeing a huge kind of new step change in the rate of electrification. They have a scenario where it kind of doubles the rate, so we would have 35% electrification by 2050, I think it was. So even if we double, it might take centuries to electrify our economic systems in all the sectors. And to do that, to replace burning of fuels in energy production, heat production and stuff like that, you need to have cheap and reliable electricity. And if we want to have any actual benefit from that, it also needs to be clean. So that needs to be kept in mind. And while I think that talking about renewables is also very important, since they've been coming down in price and getting cheaper and cheaper and growing their share, we also need to recognize that as they grow their share, their value to society drops. So there's a graph from OECD and EA, I think it was, where you can, for example, see that if Germany gets 10% from solar, and this is just the electricity, it would lose about 15 euros per megawatt hour of its value. And people are talking about 100% renewables. So it's going to be a huge challenge. So here's a graph of total electricity demand after you reduce 10% wind and solar share. So you can see that it's not that bad. You can manage that. There's the red line that is the demand, and the blue line that is the demand after renewable energy production. So that's manageable, but when you go to 75%, it starts to look less and less manageable. And you have a third of production going to waste, basically. You would have to think about some uses for that. So this will be a big challenge as the share of renewable energy, and especially wind and solar, increase. And we're going to have a lot of extra costs, both for our electricity system management, the grid operator, and for energy producers, because plenty of time their product will be without any value. So how can they make a profit or even just make enough to keep on operating? We need to come up with some clever ways to do that. And we have actually just been starting the decarbonization. So there's some countries there that are 30, 40, and Denmark is close to 50% renewables. They're just starting to see the bigger needs for investment into advanced technologies that can handle these kind of fluctuations in the production and demand. But what we've been doing in the European policy level, are we going towards fossil free? Well, this is a news item from last year. Belgium maintains its nuclear policy phase out. And what are they getting instead? 3 months later, a news item with their subsidies for new gas. That's not going fossil free, is it? It's getting more gas, most likely Russian, because that's one of the major sources. You can also get something from the Near East, which is not the most stable place also, perhaps, as a supplier. So I would say that EU policy, especially regarding nuclear energy, is not going towards fossil free at all. I'm going to show you a picture of European electricity sources last year, just to make the point about nuclear a little bit more clear. It's our biggest source of energy, of electricity in the European Union. And it's also by far the biggest source of low carbon electricity. And some of these countries even call themselves progressive and climate friendly, are doing their best to kill that whole sector, basically, in the European Union. We just had the taxonomy for sustainable investments published, and I think a couple of days ago there was this vote about it. And Germany, Austria, and Luxembourg, which are the 3 most anti-nuclear countries you can come up with, at least in the European Union, maybe in the world, all voted against it because it would have included nuclear energy as a sustainable, climate-friendly investment. I think that's sad and horrible. And there's, almost 2/3 of our electricity is actually clean, which is good news. But the thing is that now many countries are trying to kill 1/2 of that. We would actually need to be increasing the share of clean electricity. And here's why. This is from another study on the chemical industry of the European Union. If it was to decarbonize by 2050, how much clean energy, clean electricity it would require to do that. And you have 3 scenarios. Here you have on the left, from you. Left you have clean power today, so that's about 2,000 terawatt hours per year. Then you have intermediate, ambitious, and maximum scenarios. You can see that in the maximum scenario, where the chemical industry actually becomes carbon negative, you need to more than double, no, more than triple the current level of clean electricity by 2050 to supply it with that. And just to get you perspective, this ambitious scenario gets about 85% emissions reduction. So that we would need to double our supply of clean electricity to get that. A lot of that would have to go to hydrogen production as well. It's a key thing in the chemical industry. So I think it's a little bit irresponsible to try to kill the biggest source of clean electricity when we clearly need to multiply it by many times more clear energy from today. Meanwhile, there's no denying that we will have a lot more wind and solar coming up, and that will pose a challenge to our grids, and we would need to manage that. But I would prefer we do it without much burning of natural gas. Natural gas is good for managing that because it can go up and down very fast in production, but it has emissions and some other problems. So how to do that? Well, if we go anti-nuclear with the current European Union energy policy, that's not going to happen in my view. So we are going to the wrong direction. One option to do that, I want to end on a positive note. One option to do that is flexible nuclear. So there's a lot of smart people developing this new generation of small nuclear reactors that can be very flexible. They can basically mimic the operation of a natural gas turbine. Here's one example of the new scale power module doing load following of both the demand and the production of a local wind park. As you can see, it's the yellow line that's the reactor operating. It's very flexible, and it has no emissions. And right now, currently, I'm involved in this project, campaign actually, Flexible Nuclear Campaign. It's under the Nice Future, which is an initiative under the Clean Energy Ministerial. And we are looking more deeply into the possibilities of using advanced nuclear as basically gas replacement in a high renewable grid. Here's some preliminary results. So we took a baseline scenario which is high renewables. You can see it on the middle there. It's based on National Renewable Energy Laboratory of the United States. Grid is New England. We took that scenario and we added 5 gigawatts, about 10% of the total of these advanced nuclear reactors with some thermal storage added to them to see what would happen if it would actually replace natural gas. And as you can see here, it did so very well as the most cost-effective solution. So you have natural gas going quite a bit of down. You still have the same amount of wind and solar and renewable energy. You have advanced nuclear replacing much of the gas. So I think these are possibilities that we seriously need to look at, and we need to enable looking at them on a policy level. And right now, the European level policy is I would say that it could be more progressive and positive on this. Thank you.